holy shit, this really needs to get out there. Women need this. Women need to know that there is another option.
What is the pelvic floor? It's a mystery. So what is it? Why is it important to our overall health?
Ladies, when you have a tight pelvic floor, orgasming is really hard. Sex can be painful.
Welcome to the Hot Flash Health Podcast, where we're dishing out unfiltered truths about menopause with a side of sass and a sprinkle of grass.
Get ready to dive into the wild world of hot flashes, mood swings, and all of the other joys of being a queen eater.
This ain't your grandma's podcast. No, we are here to talk our bodies, our fears, our passions, our desires, all while navigating this wild roller coaster ride of menopause.
So grab a glass of wine,
For free.
kick back, relax, and let's enjoy this hot flash wave together.
I'm Courtney Mamusha, and alongside me is my fabulous co-host, Dawn Fable.
We're just two outspoken broads who like to call it how it is.
Now, without further ado, let's kick off today's episode. Welcome, everyone, to the Hot Flash Health Podcast, where we are digging up truth about menopause. You are in for a real treat today as we dive into a topic we might not talk about enough, but we should. And I'm your host, Courtney, and today we're chatting with the incredible Shari Barta, a powerhouse in the world of pelvic floor therapy and wellness. Today, we have Shari Barta, an occupational therapist, pelvic floor therapist, certified Pilates teacher, and the founder of Posture Power Wellness and Core Rehab. With over 2 decades of experience, Shari is passionate about empowering women to optimize their physical and mental health. She even launched her second studio here in Denver, yay us, and has developed an app that helps women do pelvic floor therapy at home using Pilates. Today, we'll talk about pelvic health, menopause, and how to address those often uncomfortable but incredibly important conversations. We're going to dig into why the pelvic floor deserves more attention, how it gets impacted by menopause, and give you some practical tips and advice you can start using today. So welcome, Shari. Thank you so much for being on our podcast.
Thank you so much. It is an honor to be here.
Well, let's break the ice a little bit. How did you get started into pelvic floor therapy and wellness? Was there a specific moment or a personal experience that led you down this path of focusing down there?
Absolutely. There's nothing like a scorned woman to have a massive passion. I mean, they go together. I never thought this would be my path. 16 years ago, I became a mom. Thank God my children are beautiful because they ripped me up, destroyed my body. I was left with a full diastasis, which for everybody knows, that's that separating right down the front of your stomach, and pelvic floor issues. I ended up basically back then, there's double FGs. Pelvic floor therapy was not even discussed. And everyone's like, oh, you're a therapist. You don't need it. Mm-hmm. I did. I didn't get it. And I tried to rehab myself. And I actually was doing Pilates at the time. That's how I discovered Pilates. And I loved it. But I had a teacher who didn't have a very good understanding, and she ended up hurting me more. And I ended up herniating, requiring surgery. So I had to get everything fixed. After surgery, I still had pelvic floor issues. Well, now that I know what I know, that makes perfect sense. So I went to a female doctor, by the way, and I waited months and months to see this specialist who was so renowned. And I remember sitting there and telling her, I'm 35. I'm active. I had the surgery to fix everything. I'm a therapist. I'm up, I'm moving, and I'm leaking. I'm, having some incontinence, and it's a problem. And she looked at me dead in the face and said, yeah, that's normal. Just deal. So a little thing you guys all need to know about me is I'm Bostonian. I'm pretty spicy. So I looked at her and I told her to fuck off. And I left and I started soaking up everything pelvic floor I could find. Like, I was doing it before to help myself, but this time I was like, oh no. No other woman is ever going to feel like this. This is unacceptable. Just deal. I don't think so. Nobody has to just deal. So I started soaking up everything I could pelvic floor therapy because traditionally pelvic floor therapists are PTs and OTs can do it as well. So it really was in my scope of practice. It was in my continuing ed stuff. And I just soaked. And I started to see where Pilates and pelvic floor therapy fused. And that's where Core Rehab was born. Core Rehab was born from that. It is actually my journey of how I fixed myself. And ladies, we're never perfect, but I am like 99% there. You know, I am on my feet all day long. I am super active. I am everything. Do we all have those moments? Absolutely. But I feel like I am functionally cured. And I did that through exercise. And that's when I was like, wait, this needs to get out there. And then when I started doing research on the availability of pelvic floor therapy and how it's utilized, I was like, holy shit, this really needs to get out there. Women need this. Women need to know that there is another option. So that is where, like I said, nothing like a scorned woman to make it her life's mission. And so now my passion is to, empower women. Never just deal. Never accept. I'm so tired of us being gaslighted. Having a baby, and I have an attitude that once you have a baby, you always have a postpartum body. And so that's one piece. And then I'll talk more how menopause further plays into this. But having a baby is a miracle. Why is what happens to us never discussed?
Never.
So I am here to talk, and I'm all about talking about all of it. We have to start talking because it's the only way we're going to change things.
Yeah, I love that. My partner and I just did our whole Hot Flash Health manifesto yesterday, and it's so crazy because we were talking about being gaslit as women and speaking up and, going to these doctors who don't know what they're talking about and don't give us advice. And you have your personal journey of starting what you've done. And I actually had the fortunate experience of meeting Shari. I went to a pre-Mother's Day event at her facility, and it was absolutely amazing. Fell in love, loved the teacher who gave us a little overview. And just really want to dive in more. So I just want to say for all those women out there, to Shari's point, to our point, enough is enough. We need to stop just standing by and going with whatever the doctor says and saying that's enough. And fuck yeah, having a child is a miracle. That shit is not easy. So every woman out there, congrats for getting through that. And if you haven't been fortunate to have a child, you know what? Thank the friend next to you who has, and your mother, because it's not an easy thing, right?
Nope.
I'm still trying to understand the pelvic floor too, right? So let's get into it. So for those of us like myself who might feel like, what is the pelvic floor? It's a mystery. So what is it? Why is it important to our overall health? And, obviously after birth and then moving into menopause, let's talk a little bit about what that means.
Okay. My soapbox. Here you go, ladies. First, I hate the word floor. I want you to think about it more like a bowl, because that's actually its shape. It is, off the top of my head, I want to say 14. I might be false. It might be plus or minus a couple, but it's about 14 muscles that are set up as slings. So if you guys kind of think about, and they're right in the base of your pelvis. So as you're sitting on your chair, we're going to do a little anatomy lesson. Sorry for this. You know where your pubic symphysis is, like the front of your pubic bone, like right in the front. That's one place they attach. Now they sling down behind and they attach onto your coccyx, so the tip of your sacrum. Then, so you have a set going that way, kind of that long sling. And then think about, we all know our sit bones, like those bones you kind of feel when you're wiggling. They attach from side to side. So those 4 points are the slings, and all those muscles kind of attach in there, and they are kind of making that bowl that like kind of caps our pelvis. I mean, our urethra, like all of those holes, we all got anus, everything, they all sit in that pelvic floor. The pelvic floor, like I said, it's all muscles. This is really important. It's muscles. It has so many important jobs. First off, it keeps everything up in us. Kind of important.
Yes.
Yes.
All my shit falling out.
I mean, it won't fall out, but it can come.
Drop.
Yes and no. Right.
Drop. Right.
There's more to it. It's not so black and white, but yes. So yeah, 14 muscles holds everything up in there. It prevents us from peeing ourselves, pooping ourselves. It's in charge of giving us orgasms. One of the things that people don't realize is it actually helps us breathe. It's one of the really important muscle areas that helps us breathe. So diaphragmatic breathing has everything to do with your pelvic floor. So, and we're going to return back to that because that's another piece to the puzzle. So it is also what stabilizes our pelvis, though, help us become upright.
Yeah.
Like we need that.
Right.
It helps us hold a baby in. It helps us push a baby out. Like it does so much stuff. Bottom line, because none of us can see those muscles, we don't realize we have them. We take them for granted. And most of us, they're not correctly aligned because of how sedentary we all are.
Yes.
That impacts them, which is huge. And it's a huge piece of like education I do with women, as they go into menopause or even when they are having babies. Like, it's really, really important to talk about that piece. That's pelvic floor 101. Like, it's really important. Like, ladies, so important.
I can see 14 muscles. Who knew down there?
Yeah, exactly. And it's all these crazy slings all around. And, the thing that I like to really talk about it, because most people have pelvic floors.
I'd like to say mine's tight, ladies, but I don't know.
Muscles are really tight because of the posture we sit in. How many of us oh my God, I love it that you just stood up tall.
I know, right?
Fantastic. How, like, they tilt that pelvis back and kind of sit, like, you're kind of sitting. That's sitting in what's called a posterior tilt. When we sit in that position, we cut off our lower core, our hip flexors don't work, our back tightens, our butt tightens, and our pelvic floor tightens. They all have to, in result, to like support you. So if we're chilling in that, what is that doing? Bigger picture. So we've got to get more balance there. And unfortunately, look at technology, look at our life, look at our civilization, where it's going. That's just going to continue.
This is what we're doing.
So absolutely, everyone is.
This is probably the first time you were sitting and like, I am going to be stuck in this chair until 10 p.m. tonight,
It is so amazing, because a lot of people are like, wow, you look so young. Because a lot of people are really shocked when they find out how old I am. And because ladies, I'm in perimenopause. Good fucking times. Such good posture. I'm like, I don't sit. I stand for a living.
Yeah.
It makes a difference. So that's just like a little caveat, but reality is reality. So what do we do with that? I want everybody to kind of check into their pelvic floor, because this is kind of an easy thing to do. Our breath. So diaphragmatic breathing. I said pelvic floors help with diaphragmatic breathing. We can use that breath to see how healthy our pelvic floor is.
Okay.
When you inhale, I want you to take a nice deep breath, and I want you to focus on it going into your stomach. So everyone put your hands on the front of your belly, and I want you to inhale into it. You should feel all of that expand. You should also feel your pelvic floor expand. That pelvic floor should expand downwards. Now exhale, and you should feel that pelvic floor pull up, and you crisscross in that core to pull up.
Now, if I'm pulling up, am I like Kegeling?
No.
No Kegels.
Break up with Kegels. Kegels are bullshit.
Okay. Kegels are bullshit.
All right, Kegels are bullshit. Ladies, Kegels, they were made in the fees by a man. Why are we doing this?
Just like Victoria's Secret, made by a man.
Exactly. Exactly. Let him go. There's only one time and place that I ever recommend somebody to do a Kegel. And that is when you have a baby and you're like literally brand new postpartum, and you are looking down there, you're like, do I have it? Did it fall out? Did it remove from my body? You use a Kegel to kind of find that spot. As soon as you can find it, break up with them. They actually are detrimental. So don't do them. I want you to feel, so that Kegel that you're asking, I want you to feel that pull up as a natural thing. I don't want you to force it. What is happening to your pelvic floor is not forced with the breath. I want you to feel a natural expansion with an inhale and a natural contraction up with an exhale.
It's going to take a minute to feel it. I feel it, right? Like it's going to take practice.
Exactly. And I always tell my ladies, I want you to keep working on it. Like, how low can you go? Can you continue to get that to expand? Because that, when you can feel a good expansion and a good connection, that is the sign of your pelvic floor getting a full contraction and relaxation. That is muscular health. Think about it. Your biceps, your arm. If you walked around with that arm contracted the whole entire time, all day long, how would you feel?
Tired.
Exactly. We're doing that to our pelvic floor.
Okay.
So this is a way for us to be able to check into it, because we don't see it. We don't realize that. So the breath, being able to do that, when you can breathe all the way down to your pelvic floor and feel that expansion, you are connecting your diaphragm, your deep core muscles, and your pelvic floor. So the win is you're getting an ab workout at the same time.
Yeah.
If you're anything like me, I love to stand in line for a coffee and being able to do an ab workout all at the same time. Score.
Are there certain, because I'm picturing this, like what you described our pelvic floor as like my daughter's old trampoline. And then it brings back stories of me jumping on my trampoline with my girlfriend and all of a sudden us being like, I think I just peed a little. Are there like external signs like that are like, okay, because you like peed a little, or, you know, I don't know, whatever else might be falling out. Are those kind of signs too, that maybe it's time to think about strengthening muscles? Okay.
So here's the deal. Nobody needs to leak. We do not need to accept it. That is pure BS and gaslighting. 80% of all pelvic floor issues. So it's called pelvic floor dysfunction, is that overall umbrella. That is prolapse, that's the falling out, incontinence, fecally or regular, pain. I'm blanking on one. There's one more, but that's okay. Bottom line, 80% of all of those issues can be fixed through exercise.
So what are some of those exercises? I mean, what can we do besides breathe and try and reconnect? Are there things besides come to your lovely studio and work with you?
Well, I mean, I think the answer for everyone is come to my studio.
Yes.
Or use my app.
Or use your app because you can do that.
Amazing. Yes. That's why I made my app, because I was literally like, wow, there needs to be more of me out there, because there's not.
I concur.
What I do is completely unique. And, I want pelvic floor therapy to be fun, period. Why can't you come with your girlfriends, keep your clothes on, go do some workout, leave, tell the world you're doing Pilates, because it takes the social stigma out. Because bottom line, we don't like to talk about it. We don't like to admit that we're part of that group. But we have to, and we're only hurting ourselves by not. Because with that, I want to circle back to the menopause part.
Yeah, of course.
With menopause, when our hormones change, our muscle mass changes. There's a ton of research out there about how our muscle mass changes. Think about, ladies, whoever has done HRT, so hormone replacement therapy. One of the first things you guys always tell me, benefit-wise, is that your muscles got more toned. Because the hormones are, for women, our hormones are a huge part of our muscle tone. So when our hormones dip, that's going to impact that. That's why movement is so important, because you've got to try to keep as much muscle mass as possible. Mm-hmm. The pelvic floor, our muscles, they get affected as well. So I know people who have never had babies, and they're something like, whoa, what's going on down here? Like, why is all this happening? Or I have women who are like, I had babies and I had no problems and I was great. And then they're like, oh no, all these things start showing up. And then there's the women that have been like, yeah, I'm a mess, and now I'm a bigger mess. Bottom line, we have to work those muscles. It is a rehab. You break your ankle, you go to rehab.
Totally.
We had a baby. We pushed a baby through those muscles. We go to rehab, but we're not offered that.
No, not at all.
No. Why would you need that?
Now I feel like, I just had heart surgery and back surgery, and it was like in and out. And I haven't had a baby in 15 years, but I feel like it's probably the same experience for us. Yeah. It's like, oh, you had your baby, get out.
Oh my God. I don't know if you've seen the meme on social media of like, and I don't want to go down the baby tangent because I know this is menopause, but I think it's a big piece of the puzzle.
Yes.
What ends up happening is, so there was this meme out there on social media of like a coach, like high-fiving all his athletes. He's like, yeah, good job. They're like, it's like going to your 6-week follow-up appointment.
Yeah, totally.
They're like, oh, you look great. You're doing great. High five. And they're like, no, I'm not. So the problem is that's how we were treated then.
Yes.
And then we're all, like, as we know, we're expected to be superwomen. We're supposed to be rehabbing, taking care of newborn baby, sleeping, taking care of the house, and look put together. Yeah, no, I never mastered all that, by the way, at all.
I still haven't mastered that, by the way.
Exactly. So the thing is at that point, we pick up bad movement patterns. Yeah. We start kicking into muscles. We compensate. We all have heard this. Oh, I'm compensating. Like, I am moving in a weird way. None of us search out to do that, but it does happen. So we pick up these bad patterns and they serve us till they don't. And usually they stop serving you when your muscle mass changes because your hormones change. Suddenly weird things start happening. Maybe it's not directly your pelvic floor. Maybe you are feeling your back pain, or you're feeling hip pain, or your knees are hurting, and all that's linked. There's one other piece of this whole puzzle that I didn't talk about, and I really want women to know this. This is so important. Ladies, when you have a tight pelvic floor, orgasming is really hard. Sex can be painful.
So it's not your fault, ladies. It's your pelvic floor fault.
And it's called you need rehab, and those damn people didn't give it to you.
Interesting.
Not normal, and it's not okay, and you don't just deal.
Yeah.
Please.
So are there like any simple exercises us women can be doing daily to like?
So yes. First off, I always recommend people to work on their diaphragmatic breath, because that breath alone, I know you're like, what else can we do? Honestly, if you lay down, and I'm going to kind of talk about how I want you positioned to do this and really take time to focus on this diaphragmatic breath, it is actually going to help your physical and your mental health. Because if we can teach our body how to breathe. So we're supposed to breathe into our bellies. We're not supposed to be breathing from our chest. Our chest are our secondary breathers. How many of us breathe into our chest?
Yeah, because we don't want our
Right.
belly showing. We're taught to keep those bellies
Right.
taut.
So you're basically messing up your pelvic floor. You're not getting a deep core activation. You're overworking your neck. Your trap is probably tight. Your ribs are moving. And by the way, you're not getting an efficient breath.
Yep.
So none of that's a win.
We're fucked.
All.
We're all fucked.
But here's the thing. If you learn how to diaphragmatically breathe, you fire into your deep core muscle. It's called your transverse abdominis. This is the long and lean muscle. If you can get this firing, you will actually look longer and leaner. So it is a win. Yes. So diaphragmatic breathing is one of the most important things for every woman to do. I always tell people, lay down on the floor. I want you to, how you lay is important. So this is another thing. A lot of people go to tons of workout classes, and there is one cue that your instructor, I go to my place in LA. Yeah, no, you're going to come to me. And
I am going to come to you.
So there's one cue that a lot of studios do, or there's something they allow you to do that is screwing you over, and you're actually harming yourself, not helping yourself. Our pelvis. Your pelvis can tilt forward and backwards. A lot of people, when they lay down to exercise, they flatten their backs down.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You just cut off your lower core. You just cut off your hip flexors, and you just made your pelvic floor tighten. And then you're going to try to work those muscles. Doesn't work. You've got to be in what we call neutral. Neutral alignment is when you're maintaining that lumbar curve. We all, when we're standing, have a little curve in our lumbar spine. When you lay down, you want to maintain it. You don't want to flatten it. If you can go into that position and start exercising there, so many things are going to change. If you go into that position and you do this deep breathing, you will get deeper down to your pelvic floor.
Do you recommend a specific amount of time? Like take 10 breaths, take 20 breaths? Like, is it like whatever you...
I think it's different for everybody.
Yeah. Okay.
I think, from a therapist place, and this is a big thing about my studio and my space, is that I meet everybody where they're at. Because if you don't meet them where they're at, it's impossible. Not the same thing is right for everyone. So lay on down there, do it. If you're like, I have a minute, give me a minute.
Yeah.
If you're like, this is amazing and it's helping me disconnect, great. If it's me personally, I have ADD. I can't go beyond a minute. I'm like, I have a squirrel brain.
Oh yeah.
So I'm done. Some people are like, I love this. Fabulous. Do it. But the breath and the positioning are probably the two biggest takeaways I would give anyone listening to this, is find that breath. Because my goal is, it's hard to find even lying down. If you can't find it lying down, there's no way in hell you can find it standing up.
For sure.
So get it, master it, start doing it on your side, do it sitting up, then do it standing. Because I would love every woman in the world to be walking around breathing all the way down to that pelvic floor every day, because that's actually going to give you better health mentally and physically.
Yeah, I can imagine, just laying there. And I think what you're talking about mentally, physically, spiritually, if any of us take a minute to 5 minutes to 30 seconds a day, whatever it is, to ourselves and recenter ourselves and practice this breathing, I know it would do wonders for all of us. So I really do appreciate you saying that. And
we all need it.
I'm like you, I can't even seem to find a minute a day to myself, but it's like after this podcast, I'm going to go lay my ass on the floor and try.
Yay, love it. Absolutely. But isn't it sad that we even have to say that?
Yes.
Why do we have to justify 1 minute of breathing? This is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, but
I'm the same way.
Everyone to a minute a day.
A minute a day, ladies. A minute a day. Screw the world. They all can wait 1 minute.
Yes.
Nobody's going to die from 1 minute.
The world will not stop spinning for 1 minute. I love that you have an app, and, obviously I'm so fortunate to literally live down the street from your studio. So I will be coming in and seeing you, and you and I will become best friends. But tell me a little bit about how your app works and how women can connect with that and what you offer in the app. And
so I am so excited. I had a web-based app for the last couple of years, and I just actually rolled it out. I'm now in the app stores. So yay! If you search Posture Power Wellness, That is my big name. This is the studio that I have here in Denver. And in there, it's kind of an all-in-one. You can see all the classes. So all my people that are here, fantastic. You can be tempted to come into the studio and take classes. For all you listening that are not here, you get to be teased. I'm so sorry. But there is a library in there, and I'm still downloading even more things. So there's more amazingness to come, because in the web-based app, I have tracks that are literally therapy at your fingertips. I guide you through all the education and everything. And so I'm in the process of getting those onto this new app. But right now there's at least exercises. So it's all called Core Rehab. Core Rehab is the fusion of the Pilates and pelvic floor. Each class ranges between like 18 and 22 minutes.
Perfect.
Because I know that for women, time is our biggest commodity. So I wanted to keep it short, sweet, simple, and most of it's mat-based. You don't need a lot of equipment. Sometimes I throw in a ball or weights or this or that. If you want to do those, great. It does add to it. But if you're like, I don't want that, then do the ones that don't have it. Whatever. There's also certain things in there that, like, if you're like, ooh, my hips are really tight, I've made programs to help stretch it and release it and open it. I don't expect you to just like hit that one place. So there's so much there. I'm a therapist, and I told you, my goal is to meet everyone where they're at. So I literally have something there for everyone. It's at your fingertips. It's amazing.
And I must say, your studio is awesome. Walked in, it seems, more like a Pilates studios with reformers when you walk in. She's got a back room that I was able to take, I don't know, like a 15-minute teaser class, and I always forget her name. I'm like, Brittany.
She's fabulous. Yes.
It was amazing. For me, listeners, like, I have very low blood pressure, and I've actually fainted. I have a scar on my face. I've talked about it recently because it just happened. So doing any sort of yoga has been really challenging for me. Even Pilates when I move. So the inversions have been really difficult. I thought Brittany did an amazing job, but why I'm saying this is while we're laying there doing these movements, and I could only do what I could do, I'm looking at the ceiling and seeing all of these hanging like acrobatic. So I don't know if you offer acrobatic classes in there.
We offer, it's aerial.
Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for.
It's actually aerial yoga.
Okay, very cool.
And Brittany's the one that teaches it. And they're really pretty, aren't they?
Yes.
So what's really cool, and I'm going to tell you why it looks that way and why it feels that way and why the app is the way. There's a couple statistics that are my driving force. There are statistics out there that say only 1 in 10 women will go get help when they have pelvic floor issues after suffering in silence for 6.5 years on average. I don't know, but that makes me want to cry, and it makes me want to vomit, and it makes me very angry, because then on the flip, 80% of all of it can be fixed through exercise. The reality is most women are offered, the ones that are offered traditional pelvic floor therapy. Traditional pelvic floor therapy is fantastic and great for some people, but that other 90% don't want it. So why are we only serving 10%? It tends to be a little bit more internal, invasive, and women are like, nope. I want to keep my clothes on. I just don't want to go there. So when I designed my studio, I had all that in mind. I wanted it to be pretty, a little bougie. It's feminine. We have pinks are our colors. And I wanted women to come in and let their guard down and let go of that social stigma and say, hey, I'm doing Pilates. It is Pilates. I love Pilates equipment as a therapist, but it is elevated. There's a clinical protocol that is built into every single class I have, whether you're in person or online. And that's the sneaky part. So you can exercise. So we're building a positive mind-body connection to your pelvic floor. Y'all need it. We all need to be friends with that part of our bodies. And a lot of us dissociate from it, whether that is from trauma around childbirth or sexual assault or society. I mean, we're objectified everywhere. Why can't we not have a positive moment with our bodies? Like, it's really important for us. Those were my goals when I made this place. I wanted it to be community-based. I didn't want it to feel clinical. Perfect. I can do all that clinical stuff in this environment. And that's my mission. Little do you know that half my people, so I have Pilates teachers, I have yoga teachers. Brittany is a massage therapist. I have physical therapists. I have a speech therapist. Wow. I have a nurse. So I have higher level clinical people who are just done with Western medicine, because Western medicine is so flawed and so broken. We are burnt out. Like, us as the clinicians in that setting, It's awful. And you're either numb or a very unique human to stay in that. I couldn't do it. I was like, nope, I'm done. I'm done. So, but I love being a therapist. So I feel like I'm a more truer therapist now than I've ever been because I'm
And
actually able to help people. And why can't we do it in a fun place?
Yeah.
Like I love the fact that I get to treat everybody barefoot. It's awesome. I'm like, this is fantastic. We put on fun music. We laugh. We have a good time. You know, the classes are maxed at 6 people in the studio. So you get one-on-one experience. And let's think cost effective.
Yeah.
Think about how expensive it is. So to go see a pelvic floor therapist in Denver is usually cash.
Mm-hmm.
And it ranges between $200 and $250 for
Wow.
your session. That cuts a whole lot of people out who can't afford that.
And we need the help.
Well, what if you could come to a Pilates class for max $30?
Wow. Sign me up.
So, right, that's the difference. And so that's where I went with it. I was like, how do I make this community-based, more socially acceptable? And in that, guess what? Should we all be talking about it? Yes.
Yeah.
Is there a social stigma?
Yes.
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 How about instead of being like, that's bullshit, we need to talk about it. How about we just make it so we all can let our guards down and make it therapeutic that way?
Yeah.
So that's truly my goal.
And I know, and I love that. And I would love Hot Flash to have, we talked about this, an event at your studio. So, you know,
Yes.
come on that, we'll do that. But you are also hosting a menopause event coming up, I think, May 15th. So I want to talk a little bit about that, right? And what you're doing for that.
Well, it kind of goes exactly with what we've been just talking about, but to a more global level. You know, we talked about how, like very quickly, how the hormonal changes affect your muscles. Mm-hmm. And we went right into the pelvic floor. Well, what about globally? It really affects your muscles, your tendons, and your joints. Mm-hmm. So a lot of women don't realize frozen shoulder, bursitis, plantar fasciitis, all of these kind of fascia, tendon, joint conditions are common symptoms of menopause. It comes from the change. I know. From the change in like the hormones coming down. I was like reading a book. I'm blanking on the new Menopause.
Yes.
Book. I was listening to the podcast, or not the podcast. I was doing the Audible, and I'm like listening, and they start listing all the symptoms that you can have from menopause. I'm driving down the road, and I'm like, shit.
I have that. I have that.
Shit. It's like, oh my. I'm like, this is wow. But so like, yes. All right. Ladies, joints, muscles, fascia. So fascia is this elusive thing that a lot of people don't know about. Fascia is our scaffolding. It literally is from directly under our skin all the way down to the cellular level of our muscles. It is what encapsulates everything so we don't get like tangled. Like this sounds like really like rudimentary, but think about behind our TVs. Back in the day when we had the VCR, the DVD, the TV, remember we had all those wires and nothing moved, but when you tried to move it, it was all tangled.
Oh, sure.
So what about our bodies? Every tendon, nerve, artery galore moves every second you move. You breathe. How do things not get tangled?
Right.
Fascia. It's our scaffolding. Fascia can tighten to protect us. It can tighten with hormone changes. It can do. When it tightens, this is the magic piece. It is designed to withstand 2,000 pounds of pressure. It really is our protective scaffolding. So we all got to manage it. And I have really bad news for all of you. Theraguns, foam rollers, massages, they're lovely. They only give you
temporary
20
relief.
minutes to an hour of relief.
Yeah.
So I hate foam rolling. I think it's very painful. And so to me, the pain is not worth 20 minutes. Like, why?
I'll do it. I tried it for like 10 seconds the other day. I'm like, oh my God, this hurts.
And so, but there is this form called clinical myofascial release, which is all long stretching. There's a form of self. So our retreat is all about this. It's a wellness afternoon. It's 3 hours. I have a health coach coming in that's going to talk about nutritional life changes you can make to help support those joints and those systems. And I'm actually going to teach myofascial release. I'm going to teach you how you can do this on yourself at home and help reset that fascia. Wow. What that is going to do is that's going to prevent the frozen shoulder. It's going to prevent the bursitis. It's going to prevent the fasciitis. Like all of those, like, let's not go to the pain place. Let's be proactive instead of reactive. Mm-hmm. And so that's what this is all about. It's 3 hours for women only. Come on in. We got treats. We have a swag bag that's worth over $100 that you would all get. There's 6 more spots, so it's capped at 12 people. So it's 12 people only, and it's literally very personal. We do breath work, we do Q&A, and it's a place for us to let our guards down, have open conversations, and just start getting a little bit more info about our body. We do these retreats quarterly. If you can't make this one, just keep posted. There's more coming, but this one is.
So like if people globally want to watch?
No.
Nope.
It is a personal one-on-one retreat.
Get it.
It's, I don't want people to not let their guard down.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's about that being in that moment. Like I said, it's 3 hours. The idea is, a lot of us can't step away for a weekend. Mm-hmm. But what about coming on over for just 3 hours and taking that time for yourself, learn a little bit about how you can help yourself with these changes? Because, the big thing about menopause is we keep talking about all the negative parts, but this is about like us stepping into the next part of our lives.
Yeah.
Like
we're queening now.
We're absolutely. We get to close the bread oven and we get to move on, and it's our body's way saying, yep, nope, you're done. And yes, there are pieces that are hard and awful, but could we rejoice it too and make some pieces positive? So that's what this is about. It's about rejoicing our bodies, how we've changed, how to reflect, kind of how to move on to this next season of our life, and, things that you can do to help it.
Yeah. As we wrap up, are there any specific types of movement, obviously pelvic floor that we're talking about, but anything in general that you can maybe suggest that might have been shown to help with things like hot flashes, sleep issues, mood swings, outside of breathing and not pushing your spouse off a cliff?
I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm a firm believer in walking. Wow. And I think that the walking is going to be, I think we all as women need to start taking time for ourselves.
And while you walk, you can listen to the Hot Flash Health podcast.
Absolutely. So this is exactly what I was going to say is walk, listen to something. Do not talk to somebody. Do not be like, oh, this is my time to get in this phone call and that phone call and that phone call. Go take a walk for you. It's really important. I'm a big person of like, I love that I announce this to everybody and then I'm awful at doing it myself. I actually started doing it on weekends. My daughter dances in Park Hill in Denver.
Yep.
And I, instead of like dropping her off, running home, because it's only 10 minutes from my house, I could totally do that and do things. I was like, nope, I'm parking the car and I am walking Park Hill.
Perfect. I love that.
And then one day I had to go to work instead. And I was like, wait, somebody took my walk away. It was awful. So like, it's like, I look forward to that hour and I'm moving my body. And I think that's the biggest thing is we're all way too sedentary and it's really complicated everything. We have got to get up. We have to get moving. We need fresh air. We need vitamin D. You need that sunshine. Like there's so many things. And oh my God, we need time alone.
Yes.
Oh, hey, like, I don't know about you, but like my daughter is 16, she's a rising junior. She's starting to think about the next part of her life. And she looked at me and like, she's like asking me about marriage and this. And I'm like, well, she's not going to marriage, but like, she's like, Mom, what would be your advice? Like something about life in the next step. And I go, live alone.
Yeah.
Just live alone. I go, my biggest regret is that I only lived alone for 3 months.
Yeah.
And then I moved in with my now husband. And I'm like, oh, I so needed to date myself a little bit longer. And now that I'm, hitting this part of my life, I'm just like, damn, I totally should have done that. And so taking a walk is me dating myself. Go date yourself, ladies. Step away from everybody. They will be fine. No guilt. We need to stop with the guilt. And we need to take care of us.
I agree. Date yourself. I love that. Well, Shari, what a fantastic conversation we've had today. We have literally learned so much about pelvic floor health and other impacts of menopause and how we can take steps as easy as breathing to the next level to really start caring about ourselves and dating ourselves again. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your tips, your tricks, and your insight to really opening up this important conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fantastic. I was so excited to meet you this weekend. Thank you for coming to the studio. I can't wait to see you there again.
Yes.
We definitely need to do an event. I would love it. Love it.
So for those interested in finding you, can you give us, your location, your website, app, all that stuff again?
So I have 2 studios in Denver, one in Cherry Creek North neighborhood and one in the Central Park neighborhood, brand new. We just opened. So come check us out in either of those. And I have my app. The cool thing is everything's in one spot. Like I said, you can download an app Posture Power Wellness, or you can go to posturepowerwellness.com and everything is there. All one stop, everything you need about me.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you again. That's it for today's episode of Hot Flash Health. We'll be back soon with more real talk about menopause and everything in between. Until next time, keep laughing, keep moving, and keep feeling fabulous. This community is all about empowering women to take control of their health and wellness. Be sure to follow us on all of your social channels at Hot Flash Health and listen and subscribe to us at YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or any of your preferable listening platforms. Until next time, stay classy, stay sassy, and keep those hot flashes in check, ladies. Thank you. And that's a wrap on today's episode. Remember, menopause may be a wild ride, but together, we've got this.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at Hot Flash Health.
Stream and subscribe to us on any of your favorite listening platforms like YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
And of course, share your thoughts with us. We love hearing from our amazing listeners.
And until next time, stay sassy, stay fabulous, and keep those hot flashes in check.
Yeah, girl.
Woo!